name's Alec Osland, and I'm an attorney at the Yanowitz Law Firm, where we've been assisting families with wills, trusts, and probate for over 30 years. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to pick a trustee. So, how do you pick a trustee? Who do you pick? Most people pick a friend, family member, or maybe a corporate trustee. They want to oversee the assets and be in charge of managing the assets and distributing them to the intended beneficiaries when they and their spouse maybe have passed away or if they have become incapacitated. Before choosing a trustee, there are a variety of different factors that one must consider. One of the biggest ones is, well, do you trust them? You need to think about, will they have time to serve as trustee? What is the relationship to the beneficiaries? Does the trustee have the responsibility and the ability to follow your instructions as established in your estate planning documents? You want to think about their past experiences with managing assets. And you also want to consider, what's the cost going to be with having this person or this company serve as trustee? So trust. This is generally one of the biggest factors that my clients have to think about when they pick their trustee is, do you trust this person? Your estate plan is personal, and you need someone that you trust to manage your trust in estate the way that you want them to handle it. So trust is a very big key component and factor when thinking about, okay, do I want this person to be trustee? Time. When someone serves as trustee, they have to have the ability to devote the appropriate time to managing the trust. So serving as a trustee can be a significant time involvement. There's work that has to be done. You have to work on filing income and estate tax returns potentially. You have to work on, securing the real estate, possibly selling the real estate, working with a realtor, attending closing. You have to maintain the property while it's in the trust. They might have to organize an estate sale. They might have to reach out to appraisers to come in and value assets that are part of the estate and part of the trust. You're also going to have to work on consolidating and try to find out where all of your debt and where all of your assets are. They're going to have to provide notice to creditors. They're also going to have to keep records of all of the trust activity. And one of the biggest ones is they're going to have to communicate with the beneficiaries. They're going to have to be in contact, letting them know what's going on. If there's any distributions that need to go out, they need to be communicating how that looks. Depending on the amount of assets that are in the trust and what the provisions of the trust are, the trustees may spend a substantial amount of time processing certain requests, making final decisions, working with distributions. It's essentially a large role to take on. So that is something to consider when you start thinking about who you want to be trustee is, does this person have enough time to serve and serve correctly and serve well? Another thing you want to think about is, what is the relationship to the beneficiaries? If you have a trust that's set up for someone with chemical dependency or substance abuse issues, maybe that beneficiary doesn't think that they need their assets being held in trust and they should just get their assets outright and be able to use their money how they want. If that's not how you set up your estate plan, you maybe have a discretionary trust and the trustee is in charge of managing those assets in a discretionary manner. That may make the beneficiary upset. And so that could cause an issue with the relationship between that trustee and beneficiary that you've named in your documents. So that is one thing to consider. Trustees who have that personal relationship with the beneficiaries, that they may struggle to kind of separate that because they want to be friends with them. They want everyone to get along. They're managing their money in a way that the beneficiary doesn't like. It could cause a strain on that relationship. Experience. You want to think about, how has this person behaved in the past? Have they handled assets of this magnitude? This going to be an issue? Are they going to be overwhelmed? Are they going to be organized with these assets? You have to look at their past experience of handling assets, making those decisions to figure out if this is going to be a good fit with all of this. Responsibility. One responsibility of the trustee is to oversee the distributions to the beneficiaries. Some trusts are going to provide specific instructions about the nature of those distributions and what's allowed, but a lot of times we have a standard of with health, education, maintenance, and support. And so you want to make sure that the trustee is following the guidelines and being responsible and following your instructions for how these assets need to be distributed. So you do want to have someone who's able to serve, who is willing to be responsible and look at how distributions are supposed to go and follow those instructions. Cost. Generally, when we have friends or a family member serve as trustee, they may not take payment for serving as trustee. Sometimes they do want to be paid for the responsibility and for the job of serving as trustee. So they may take a nominal hourly amount. Sometimes in my experience, I've seen that maybe $30 to $40 an hour, somewhere around there. That being said, if you have a corporate trustee, they're generally going to take a percentage of the trust assets that they have under management, and they take that yearly. So it all just kind of depends on the total value of assets that you have the corporate trustee managing for how much they're going to charge. A lot of corporate trustees do require a minimum of maybe $500,000. Some require less, some require more. It just depends on the corporate trust in the company for when they're willing to step in that role and serve as trustee. Most of the time, if we have a friend or a family member serve, they may not charge at all, or they may charge a small hourly rate. So it kind of just depends on who you are going to be naming in your documents. With all this being said, we haven't really talked about what about having multiple trustees. You do have the ability to name co-trustees, and you can have them serve together as trustee and kind of handle the responsibilities if you think that'd be easier, or if you have two kids who get along, then it's fine to have two children serve as co-trustees. I generally don't recommend having more than two. Then we may have too many cooks in the kitchen. So we generally don't recommend having more than two. And the only time we want two is if they do get along, because they are going to have to work together on a variety of things. And we want the administration to keep moving so we can get the estate distributed correctly and in a timely manner. I'd like to thank you for joining me today to learn about who you should pick for a trustee. I hope you've learned a lot and that you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel to find out when we post another video. Thanks, and have a great day.